Hello, my name is Delaney Keidel. I am the art teacher here at Wickham Elementary as well as a traveling art teacher to Alexander. We're here in the Iowa City Community School District, and today I have a quick sub-lesson kind of layout for how to make a radial design. We can also call a radial design a mandala, and we're going to see kind of some examples of that and then how we'll use a template to create that today. So if everybody could bring their attention to the board, here we go. All right, so the first things that we're going to need today, for one, are our mandala or our radial design kind of template. And this is really nice. It almost kind of looks like a spider web, but it's laying out different sections for us where we're going to create these radial designs. Within our designs, we will have symmetry. So we know that symmetry means that there's going to be balance on both sides. If we had symmetry within a shape like a square, we could fold it in half and it would be equal on both sides. But everybody, as well as their template, is going to receive this packet here. And this packet is going to have a radial symmetry kind of little layout on the front. And it's going to have examples throughout on how we can make these designs, as well as examples of some mandalas. So if these are helpful for you, you might flip through it, kind of starting with that radial symmetry. The next page, we have some great examples of different mandalas, designs that were created, starting from the centers out. The repetition is there, the symmetry is there. There are elements of art like line and shape. There's form, principles of design like balance and movement, repetition, unity. So when we're making these designs today, we're actually going to be using a lot of our art elements and principles of design that we've been learning about for a long time. The last couple pages of this are just kind of a step-by-step on how you can kind of start to think about establishing one of these. The first image is the final mandala or final radial symmetry design, and then steps 1 through 9 are showing how that's created. So use these today if they would be helpful to you. Otherwise, I know that we can use our own creativity, our own lines and shapes and designs that we enjoy, and get going on these today. Now everybody, when they get their template, needs to start off with a pencil today. We will be tracing in Sharpie, but we're going to start with pencils first, then move on to Sharpie, and we will need an eraser today to make sure we get rid of any of those extra pencil lines that we will no longer need when we move on to coloring. I don't have colors with me today. I'm going to focus mainly on the design with you all, but you can use everything from crayons to colored pencils to markers. Each design might have different details that would be more important for different materials. So if you have very small, delicate details, colored pencils would be a good option. Whereas if you have larger details, I would recommend maybe markers or something where they'll have bold, different color shifts. But just remember, the size of your details is going to be affected by how you fill that in with your material. So pick one that is appropriate to what you're making. We're going to start in the center here. Again, everybody should have a pencil to begin with, and each of these is going to kind of have a shape to help us create this. This is going to allow us to make things even, to have great proportion when we are repeating these designs in our symmetry. So when I kind of think of my center, I'm thinking maybe more of a line kind of design here. So I'm going to do some curvy lines, and I'm going to bring it up just a little bit past that first line. So you should repeat that all the way around. Feel free today to kind of get in the zone. When we make artwork like this, and when we have lots of repetition and balance, maybe even unity, we might kind of like just zone in. We don't have to think too hard once we decide what our first design is, because then we're just going to boogie on through. I'm not pushing super duper hard with my pencil because I know I'm going to want to trace this, but I do want to see where I'm going. Some of my pieces might be a little bit larger, and that's okay, but we're going to do our best today to keep it nice and uniform. The next shape I might think about, saying shape, I might do a diamond. I kind of like how that looks. You might notice that you could have it touch or come away. I think I like how it looks better having it touch. And for my own ease of working today, I'm actually going to turn my paper. Do your best today. Not every shape is going to be exactly the same. If you want them to be exactly the same, then use your guides. Make it large enough to fit in your guide. Now that's quite a bit larger, but I like how I'll be able to use these guides of my template to keep it nice and even. If my stuff doesn't erase completely, I'm not going to worry too much about that because I know I'm going to trace it in Sharpie. Moving and a grooving, kind of getting in my zone here. Maybe I want to start thinking about my next line, my next shape, my next intention for my design. If you feel that using a ruler today would be helpful to you, you may get one. Just remember that rulers are for helping us make lines. If we're using them for anything else, we may be asked to put them away. So I've kind of got this floral looking design so far because I started with those curved lines, kind of gives the impression of a flower. Moved on to those diamonds. Now I think I'm going to just kind of keep this circle line and kind of use that as part of the design. And next I want to do maybe another line, but one that's going to go all the way around, not kind of just stay within those different sections. So I'm going to do kind of a wavy line. And I'm going to have that wave continue throughout the entire design, but it's going to meet at that same point for each one. So I'll keep my unity, I'll keep my balance, but also have that symmetrical element. Keep moving and a grooving here. If your hand gets tired and you need a little break, you can do some finger stretches. But if you're kind of working at ease and taking your time, we should be just fine. Since I kind of have this wavy line, gives like the impression of movement, maybe I'll want to think about something to add in the corner, kind of guiding into that. Or maybe I'll just bump on up to the next section, but I think I might add a circle here. Just in those corners. Kind of reminds me of like a little sunset coming up on the wave. Again, you can move your paper to kind of help move you along, or you can move your hand and your pencil. If you're doing the same thing, either way is helpful. All right, ooh, I like how that circle added something extra. Okay, next I think I'm going to do maybe a little zigzag. And I'll have 2 zags in each little box. So I think you guys are getting the idea here. We're thinking about that mandala design, a circular radial design that repeats and continues all the way around. Gonna have nice consistency. And I'm going to take a break after this shape. I would expect that all of my students bring their design all the way out to our exterior, our perimeter. But I do want to show you a little of the tracing that we'll do. So we have these other lines working in here, and part of our template is having them there. If that really bugs you, then we can move on to another paper and you'll use this as kind of your practice or your plan. Otherwise, you can just go right into that tracing. And maybe your template lines will add to your design as well. But we're going to take our time and trace all the way around. You should trace every single line that you've drawn. Take your time with the Sharpie, especially when we have a permanent marker that's not going to be able to be erased. We don't want to speed it up. We want to slow it down and do our best tracing. You're going to do this for every single design that you've made. If you feel you really want to keep your template lines and they need to be bolded, you might trace over them. But we're going to move and groove all the way around, all the way through our creation, our beautiful symmetrical mandalas. And once you get all that Sharpie work traced, we're going to go in with those erasers and say see you later to some of these pencil lines. Hopefully we didn't push too hard, so those pencil lines should come away with some ease. But if they do have a little lingering kind of ghost line, don't worry too much because you're going to color it in. All right, so step number 1 today. Give a little peek at your packet if it would be helpful to you. Maybe come up with some ideas or just to see how these radial designs come together. Step number 2, pencil first. Step number 3, trace in Sharpie. Step number 4, erase and color. I hope that you all enjoy creating these radial designs today. Overall, they should be working the whole time. So it's going to take us our best effort, our best concentration today. Have a wonderful time with your sub, and I cannot wait to peek at these next week.